The meaning of the movie author Orpheus to read 5 minutes published 26.06. 2020 updated 26.06. 2020 The movie, The Perfect Patient, is directed by Swedish director Mikael Hofström, who works in Hollywood. On the account of Hofström already has a dozen quality films, a nomination for Oscar, and an award for Best Screenplay in his previous works. The main direction of this director's work is a psychological thriller, which he once again confirms on the example of this movie. The picture is based on real events and caused a flurry of completely different emotions in the audience. Nevertheless, another movie was sent to the Oscars from Sweden. Apparently, the committee considered this story not bright enough for the Oscars, although the picture still took 2 awards at the ceremony. Golden Beetle 2020. What the movie, The Perfect Patient, is about. The movie shows the story of a real person, Sture Bergvall, who invented the alias Thomas Quick. Sture was born in 1950 and lived in Sweden. Starting in 1993, he was accused of more than 30 murders and imprisoned in a psychiatric hospital. Thomas Quick confessed to all the crimes committed, but in 2008 he withdrew all his charges and filed an appeal. After 5 years of hearings, all charges against Quick were dropped for lack of evidence, as his guilt had been determined in the past primarily by Quick's full confession to all episodes. Engaged in unraveling the case of journalist Hans Rastam, whose role in the movie performed Swedish screenwriter and actor Jonas Karlsson. For this role Karlsson was nominated for the Golden Beetle Award, but in the end the winner of the Best Actor award was his colleague on the set David Dencik. Masterful reincarnation skills of Dencik the audience could observe in one of his previous films, Chernobyl, where the actor had to reincarnate in a famous person, Mikhail Gorbachev. The meaning of the movie. In the picture Dencik shows the alleged maniac as a calm and ordinary citizen, tired of such a long stay in a closed clinic. The most surprising fact of this story is the bewilderment of psychiatrists and forensic experts, who for years tried to unravel the motives of the main character's behavior. And most importantly, why he took the blame for all these murders. The movie raises several important psychological questions, many of which, as is customary in such films, are addressed to the viewer. One of the questions is the cost of modern justice. How did virtually unproven cases get dismissed and the alleged defendant automatically labeled guilty, based solely on his testimony and his admission of guilt? Are cases this old even worth revisiting? The viewer is left to try to understand the motives behind Thomas Quick's actions. Why did the man take on such serious crimes if he did not actually commit them? And all this psychologism ends with a dilemma, whether it is worth giving such a man a chance for a new life and whether he should be released from the hospital at all. Motives for the hero's behavior. The picture begins with a quote by Swedish writer Hjalmar Soderberg from the work, Dr. Glass, which slightly opens the veil of the inadequate act of the main character, who took on someone else's guilt. The author says that all people want to be loved. There is no love, to be present at least admiration. At most people want to cause fear or hate with contempt. The absence of any feeling at all is what is detrimental to human beings. Oblivion is what is terrible for the human soul, so any means is good for building connections. With this, the authors of the movie show their vision of this situation. The main character wanted to be noticed, he couldn't stand oblivion and loneliness. He hoped at least in the role of a maniac to become popular and recognizable. In forensic medicine, is drawing attention to oneself at such a cost considered a mental disorder? Undoubtedly, yes. But whether such a person should be given a second chance to start a new life should be decided by a special commission of expert psychiatrists. The meaning of the movie's ending. The Perfect Patient is a story that didn't just happen, but is happening in real time because the main character, Sture Bergvall, or Thomas Quick, is still living in Sweden after his release from their psychiatric hospital in 2013. At this point, Sture is 70 years old. Although many of his case files are confidential and have the status of secrecy, there are open facts to the general public. One such fact is the doctor's admission that Bergvall no longer needs the medications he was treated with at the clinic and is no longer a threat to society. The ending of the movie in a way shows the triumph of justice and that it can be restored even after 20 years. This case gives hope that the justice system as a whole is working properly and that justice will be based more on the facts of the cases than on the confessions of the defendants themselves. It will be up to the public to accept Thomas Quick as an ordinary citizen and to what extent people will accept his likely adequacy and lack of threat to themselves. After all, although Quick is a former patient of a psychiatric clinic, but he is far from perfect, as he is presented by the authors of the movie.